Alrighty. Looks like we're live. Thank you all so much for being here for yet another Moonshire Monday. Back again, still have not missed a single Monday since I started doing this. Very, very happy about that. And thank you all so much for being here. We got a few people in chat already. Give me one moment while I get my chat view set up. Once again, I always have to start a few minutes late because I was still setting up. I need to figure out a more streamlined way to get started so I don't start late anymore. But hello everyone, appreciate you all for being here. We got a Well-Trill Drop, Woolly Mammoth, Zaw, we got Juvix, Copper, Subadara, Soul, Kashif, Myra, Daily Shadow, Nicholas. Hello everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. Wolf, hi, welcome in. Meadows. A lot of stuff going on in the game recently. Wolf has been helping me a little bit with testing and a lot of changes, but they're good. They're good changes, I think, for the most part. I'm experimenting with a few different control scheme stuff and figuring out a new direction for a few things, but overall I'm very, very happy with the general direction of everything. But the one thing that keeps changing frequently is the level design, which that's kind of what I titled the stream today, because once again I want to redo a few small sections. Let me check chat because I was looking away for a second. Logo, the Pegasus Knight, Hassan, Oliveris plays some games. Adele, thank you all so much for being here. Angry Barnacle, Hitmaniac. Yep, so I'm so glad to have you all here. Sorry, I'm a little absent-minded at the moment. I'm still setting up a few things. I'm also going to try to keep a close eye on the music this stream because I watched back the last stream and there were some times when the music got a little bit too loud, and I don't want that to happen. So if the music feels too quiet or too loud, be sure to let me know and I will be sure to adjust that. Allfather, hi, welcome in. So what I wanted to take a look at is, I'll actually go through exactly what it is that I want to change. And so this is where the game starts, and it's just a little section where I'm trying to teach the player one thing at a time, like one mechanic at a time. So when you spawn in, the only thing that you can do is attack, and you can dodge, but that's not much to do. So you have this little section here, you can hit the boxes, you can hit the little guy, and wander around and kind of get a feel for the controls. But there's nowhere to go except for the water. But if you go into the water, you're just gonna drown. Oh wait, I have the item that can let you swim. Let's just start a new file. Let's start a new file and play through the game. When's the new demo? I don't know. I know I keep changing the date and everything. I'm sorry about that. So we're gonna delete. I'm gonna delete this one. I'm also gonna delete the other one too. This is a little ugly. Alrighty, can I play with a controller? Yeah, it has controller support. So actually, right here, you can see it. Whoops, there we go. When you start the game, it gives you the option to change between whatever control scheme you want. Oops. I think that this is bugged. Do you see this? It's stuck. It's stuck on custom and keyboard only. That's weird. Why is it doing that? I think I have this coded wrong. Let's fix this real quick. So this is a cycle for control scheme. Rather have it more polished and rushed. That's the way I see it too. But at the same time, I mean, I really want to get it out. So this button here is called Control Scheme Cycle, and it's supposed to iterate through custom keyboard only, but also controller. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so yeah, the cycle is just a little bit screwed up. So let's fix that. So in this Control Scheme Cycle, when you click on the index. cycle options. Oh. Sorry, I'm being quiet for a moment. Is Lua object-oriented? No, but the tables that it offers are really flexible, that you can do all kinds of stuff with it to kind of almost emulate object-oriented. So it kind of copies the same ideas, but no, it's not an object-oriented language. I'm trying to figure out why this is screwed up. I think it has to do... I thought it would have to do with this, but for some reason it's not. Number of cycle options. Maybe this function's messed up. It's possible that this function's messed up. The right arrow works fine, but not the left arrow? Is that really what it is? No, the left arrow is also busted. I think what it has to do is whichever one you start on. So I think if you go right... Man, this is really screwed up because it's not doing anything when I click right here, but when I click left on controller, it goes to custom. And when I click left again, it goes to keyboard only, and back to custom. But if I click right on keyboard only, it goes to controller, and then gets stuck. And if I click right on custom, it goes to keyboard plus mouse, then controller, and then it gets stuck. So there is some weird, there's some weird cycle thing going on here. And I'm not quite sure why that would be the case, because give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and figure this out. I don't think it's a label problem. I think that it's actually... Let's see if this is getting changed anywhere. I don't think it is. Are any of the other cycles screwed up? Because there's other ones than just that. Like, this one. This one works fine. This one works fine too. So why does... What makes that other one special? Is it also broken in the settings menu? Yeah, it is. Okay. This is what life is like when you develop games. Thank you all for bearing with me while I fix this. Something in the on-click issue? Well, yeah, so that is what's going on. So I can explain how this works. So every button or every like UI element can happen in this button click. So when you click on the cycle, when you click on this, it's calling this button click function. It's calling this function, and it's passing in clickdir. So let's use this to make sure. Let's use this to make sure that clickdir is actually accurate. So we're gonna print clickdir. I hope that my stream is showing all of this. Yeah, it looks like it is. I must have edited something after sending you the build. Really? Maybe I did. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I really don't think I did. I could try it on the Steam version, though. Here, I'll try it on the Steam version. Okay, so this is the Steam version, but it's the internal testing Steam version. So let's see if it happens here, too. Let's make this a little bigger. I'm so confused. It's working here. You're right. What happened? Why is it not working? What? That's so strange. I really don't think I changed anything. I'm glad you pointed that out because I wouldn't have checked that. Classic pesty, yeah, exactly. It's just a classic bug. Another Moonshire Monday. Yep. Try left. Yeah, it works. It works perfectly fine in the Steam version that I sent Wolf for testing, but for some reason my local version, it is not doing it correctly. So let's try printing clicker. Actually, we're gonna try something else. We're also going to try checking my commit history, but I need to sign into GitHub. 1 second. I don't remember my password. Give me 1 moment. I hope that this stream is entertaining watching me work rather than read chat. I don't know. I think it's kind of a nice change of pace, because normally all I do is read chat, but now we're actually working on a bug. So what I'm doing right now is, since the bug only exists on my local version, it doesn't exist in the deployed Steam version, that means that I must have changed something recently to break it. I don't think I did. I don't remember changing anything after I sent Wolf that build, but apparently I did, because I just tried it. So let me try and get signed in. Sorry for the delay. I have to be, my passwords are a little bit harder to remember now. I changed them all around. Oh, come on. I'm struggling here. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm trying to sign into my GitHub, but, okay, nice. I got it. I'll be able to sign in just a moment. There we go. I'm finally in. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to check is... This is the GitHub page for Moonshire. This is private. You guys can't see this page except for me. But I'll be able to see all of the changes that I made. And the thing is, so this is going to be tricky because this prep for test build, I might have changed more. Let's check this. So I think that if there's an issue, it's probably in here. Did I change new UI? No. So another thing we can do, rather than searching the commits, is what you can do is you can search for the specific file and then see all the changes that went into that file recently. So I'm going to go to the UI file, new UI, and there were changes in this last week. Okay. So I want to find... Where do you see... Oh, here we go. History. Minor changes. So I called this minor changes, apparently. But that's so weird because this was before I sent Wolf the build, and it works in the build. So that's a little bit strange. It's also... I don't think this is it. Oh. This is line 1293? What is this? I think this is the back button, actually. So it's my search history? No thanks. Wait, what line was that? I don't see it. 1293, it's different now. Starts with settings. I might be struggling with this one a little bit. How did I learn to develop games so well? I mean, I've just been making small little games my whole life since I was a kid. I started with Game Maker. I really love Game Maker. I think it's awesome. You can make a release on GitHub from time to time to save some stress in the future. I mean, I don't have that problem. So this small bug, this is not that big of a deal. I'll be able to figure this out. I just don't know what's causing it because it's a little bit strange. But what we're going to test first, because I have a theory. I have a theory. My theory is that the camera zoom is screwing it up. That's my theory. Let's see. If that's actually what it is, I'll be surprised. Why is it working now? What happened? I didn't change anything. It doesn't work properly when making a new file. Yeah, I know. I don't understand this. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's we're gonna work with no changes at all. The window size, I mean, maybe I'm gonna try and experiment a little bit with it too. My theory is that something about the window size is causing it, but it seems to be working fine right now. Like you said, it was during new game. No, it's not that. Trace my code. I don't think that's gonna help me here because I know where all the code's going. The one thing I want to check. Well, now the problem that I'm having. Now the problem that I'm having is I can't reproduce the issue. Like that bug that we just saw a second ago where that cycle wasn't working. I can't get it to happen anymore. Like it's working great now, and I don't know what changed. Why is it working now might be the most famous sentence in all of game dev community. Yeah, I'd say so. That's probably true. It's also one of the scariest because now there exists a bug that I do not know how to fix. Man, people are gonna find that. I'm so really... If it works, don't touch it. I suppose so. Yeah, I mean, if it's working, I guess. I just... That kind of bothers me because I want to know what happened and why it wasn't working for a second. Yeah, it was stuck. I just don't know. I don't know. How weird. Patch it in 2030? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I get around to it in 2030. But anyway, I guess I could just go back to doing what we were doing before. Oh, another bug I need to fix is this skip. You used to be able to skip this, and now you can't. I don't know what happened. The main menu art is sick? Thank you. It actually got updated recently. Oh, this is buggy. You can see the top. Look at that. The vignette's not covering the whole screen. That's bad. I need to fix that. So this is with the camera zoomed all the way out. That's why it looked weird. So I made it that you can change the camera zoom, and by default it's going to be on 2, I think. What do I think are the core things of game development, like programming art? Core things are just like the level design, the coding, then the art for sure, and then sound effects is a big aspect. I have a lot of sound effects I need to put into the game still. Is that menu start button an image? It is an image, yes. It's, well, it's not an image. It's, here, I'll go back to the start menu in just a second. Let me save real quick. This save is still buggy. I showed it last week. It's still super weird looking. So this menu is, let's have a better angle. It's parallax. So there's multiple layers of this. There's the moon in the back, and then the island, but then there's some animation on the island, like the flowing river, and then there's a little bit of fire over here. And that specific layer, that anything with animation is animated. But everything else is parallax layer, like all the clouds and stuff. Okay, so the title of the stream is Level Design, not Bug Fixing. And what I wanted to change is this map here. Because the whole idea behind this intro is that you start out over here on the left side, and there's... it's going to tell you, like, you press A to attack and B to dodge. And that's the only controls that you have and that you need to worry about. And then you can just, like, roam around and hit stuff and get a feel for the controls. But eventually, if you want to move on, you'll have to cross the water. Whoops, that was really weird looking. But if you go into the water for too long, you just sink and take damage. So since you learn that, you figure out that you can cross this little section here. Is Left 2 D okay for a massive multiplayer game? I don't see why not. But you'd have to do everything yourself. A massive multiplayer game is going to be very, very difficult. Did I make the animation with object layers? The main menu animation? Yeah, it's I can actually pull up the what do you call it? The sprite sheet. This is something that Tony helped me with. Actually, Tony is the one who did all this complicated artwork. But so like I don't think I have the ACE file. I think I do have the ACE file, actually. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, look at this. So this is what Tony sent me. And like you can see down here, it has all the different layers, so I can get rid of the background, or I can get rid of the moon, or the island itself. Then there's the water. So this is animated as well. I can play it. And again, all that stuff's animated. And when you export it, the animated layer looks like this, where it's each frame side by side, and they're really big. It's the whole island. Like here's that little speck of fire over here. It's animated, and it just gets stuck at the right place every single frame. You want this game to be a big game? I mean, I want this game to be good. I don't want it to be... So, some people say that bigger is better, but I don't really think bigger is better. I just want it to be good, and I want all of it to be good, no filler. Today's your B-Day? Nice! Happy birthday! Shout out my Debo, it's a really good game. Thank you! That's really nice of you to say. So what I was talking about is, with this intro, since it shows you that you can, like, hit stuff and you can dodge, but the next section, it wants to teach you that you can dodge to avoid damage. So there's these spikes here, and if you walk through them, then you're just going to take damage. Whoops. You walk through them, you take damage, but you can also dodge to avoid the damage. And I want to reorganize this level, or this room, or this little map to kind of better lead people into that. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. And also, there's this extra section over here. I don't think that this little section right here needs to exist. I think I'd rather make more space, because that's the other thing. What I really want to do is go here, and let's hide all this junk. So what I really want to do is up here, in this upper section. It's hard to see my mouse. I'm talking about this little land piece. I want to make this bigger and more space so that I can put in a fight. So this game has like little sectioned off areas where the fights occur. Like this room over here. If I go over here, it's going to start a fight. And I want to put another one of those. All right, I want to put another one of these fights over in that previous map. Over 100 views, nice. Yeah, 126 watching now. That's awesome. Thank you all for being here again. I really appreciate that. Any idea for the cost yet? I'm aiming for $10 USD, but I don't know for sure what my pricing model is going to be. It just depends. So let's try out. Sup, lol. Hi, welcome in. So what I want to do is... Do I recommend making devlogs for my game? Okay. I'll answer that one because I like that topic, and I actually want to make a video at some point talking about the topic of making devlogs, because a lot of people ask that question of, is making a devlog worth it, making YouTube videos, or is that a waste of time? Because you could be spending that time like actually developing the game rather than making a video, and that's true. The thing is, when you're making videos, it's the same as making games, where when you start off, it's a skill. Your first videos aren't going to be very good. And when your videos aren't very good, they're not going to get very many views. And if your videos don't get very many views, it's not going to be very helpful for marketing your game. So for those types of people, yeah, it's a waste of time because you haven't built up the video making skills to make yourself marketable on YouTube. And I mean, there's more to it than that. Like, it takes a lot of experience and a lot of years of grinding and building up an audience before your devlogs actually mean something. And then if you want to talk about money, like my devlogs, I showed on the previous stream, my channel doesn't make very much money. My channel makes under $300 per month. It's not enough for me to live on. I have to have money coming in from somewhere else. What's the benefits of exporting an animation as a strip instead of a GIF? It's just because in order for the game to render it, the game engine can't render a GIF. It probably could if I configured it that way, but in the end, all that a GIF is, it's the same thing as this. A GIF is just compacting all the individual frames one after the other, as opposed to aligning them in a lined strip. The person whose name Moonshire wasn't watching the streams for a while. He stopped in once in a while. The strip and GIF have the same info at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly. They do. It's just that a GIF is designed to be like played as an animation, while the strip is just a PNG. But the game engine takes the strip and converts it into a way that it can be played as an animation. So it's the same idea. When will the demo be updated? It's still going to be a bit. I don't know. I'm sorry. But right now, we're going to try and adjust this section. So the tricky part with this map is the player comes in from the left over here and walks through. And the player can't cross this body of water. So there has to be a big enough gap here so that the player can't cross over. So I still have to make a lot of space. But I am going to get rid of a lot of this. I might get rid of all of this middle section. Borger, hi, welcome in. GIF is not optimal for most game engines. I would imagine it's not. Let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all this middle section. And thanks to version control, if I ever want to get this back, I can easily get it back. It's not a problem. But I am going to cut out all of this stuff in the middle. And I'm going to try and make it a little bit more roomy up at the top. So I'm going to take this water surface. I think something like this is okay. You think map first or event first? So at this point, so I've redone all the maps and all the events so many times that it's kind of become parallel, where I work on them simultaneously. Like, I plan out where I want each event to happen and what. Actually, I'm gonna take a step back. I do plan out the events first before I start the map. But over time, as I'm developing the other maps, it makes me realize that certain events need to happen in different places. So it still gets adjusted a lot. Move this little section down a bit, because again, I want as much space up top as I can. I think I'm gonna put this over here, actually. Maybe like that. or like this. The thing is, I want there to be enough room for the player to test out the dodging, because that's the whole point of this little section right here. What do you think I should do for an online RPG in my game style? Small maps that are split into rooms, or a big map? So for me, I prefer small maps always, just because one, it's better for performance, but beyond that, it's what the heck? I think it's easier to be more organized when you have smaller maps, because my original, like the current Steam demo that's on Steam right now, the maps are 4 times as big. So this is what the current maps look like, but the Steam demo maps are 4 times as big. So take this little section here and put one here, one here, one here. It's just a giant big rectangle. And you could say that big maps are good because they just make the game feel huge, but I'm saying that doesn't really matter. All that matters is that it feels good. And a dense, tightly packed, well-designed map is going to be better than a big map. So I don't really care about size, I just care about it being small. Isn't that too small? Nope, in my opinion, it is not too small. I love how small. Or I love how small it is. I think that having the compact size makes it better. Moonshire, hi! Someone was just mentioning you. Let's see. So let's go back to this map. What engine am I using? It's called Love 2D. Moonshire watching Moonshire Monday. Yep, that's what it seems like. So back to making this water. I think let's do this. So how do you make those scenes where the camera moves on its own? That's a good question. And I have that all in a specific file. If I go to cutscene, I think I called it. So this file, this is an old file, by the way. There's like, I don't like how I did this. This is kind of dumb. But this file, you can start a cutscene, and what this does is it makes the player stop in place. It makes the camera kind of zoom in. You can see this flux zoom. That's what it's talking about when it zooms in. Player cutscene. This might make the player like look in a certain direction towards something. And then eventually it's going to have this look at X and look at Y value. Those are where the camera is going to pan over to. There's different parameters like how long it's going to look at the thing, how long it pauses, if it adjusts the music, if it restarts the music, if there's a reward involved, because some of these cutscenes it like pans over to something and then it spawns a reward where that camera is looking. So that's just baked into this as well. And that's how all the cutscenes are done. It's a big process, and really I should redo this whole file because again this is old, but it's been working fine. It's not that big of a file either. It's less than 400 lines, so I think that I might just keep it, honestly. That's a cool cutscene system. Yeah, thank you. I tried to make it 400 line OMG. I mean, 400 line is nothing compared to this file. New UI, this other file we were just looking at, this one is 2800. So this is quite the long file. A simple switch case would make the file better. I can think of 100 things to make that file better. That one is very old. And it's funny because you would think that after doing Lua coding for so long that even code that I wrote like a year ago would still be awesome. But no, I'm still getting better at coding in this language that 1 year goes by and I look at code that I wrote 1 year ago and I get embarrassed by it. I'm looking at this cutscene. I guess this cutscene file is more like 2 years ago. But I don't do this at all anymore. This is a really dumb way to do it. Now what I do, I don't even use a switch statement. What I do, let me find a file that does it. Here it is. So now what I do is it just copies over every single arg. So everything that you pass in here, it copies over everything that you pass in as a property to the chest or to whatever file it is, whatever object we're talking about. Is this iteration goes through every argument, and for each one, it's going to apply that argument to the chest, and so you can change values about the chest just by passing in like parameters like this. And bro is so chill watching cryptic code. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad. It's the same cutscene code Iris used back in the days. Yeah, it's the same one. It's the exact same. I don't think that I had to update it really. There's been updates to the camera code. So I have this code called cam. This one's not too complicated either. This is less than 300 lines. And this one goes hand in hand with cutscene because I think that there's no. There's a section in update where, and this is a little bit ugly. I would probably redo this section a little bit, but there's different types of states that the camera can be in. So, and I call it cam focus. So if the camera is in player dialogue mode, then it does all of this stuff where it adjusts its point to like better fit the dialogue scene. Or if it's when the player gets an item, it goes to a very specific spot. Again, I probably wouldn't do this way. I can do this without a hard-coded statement like this. But focus is when you do it specifically on the focus point, and then like the pause menu. There's just all these different scenarios, and sometimes I have to hard-code it like this. But recently, I really haven't had to. I can just use focus and get most stuff done. Do I use ChatGPT or other AI often for development? Not really, but what I do is I use GitHub Copilot. So this is how GitHub Copilot works. It's basically like code completion or line completion. So if I was writing this code and I say camx equals player.x or player.focusx, and then you could see that it was trying to like code complete. And when I click enter, it's going to figure out what code I want to write. And you can see that it auto-filled it. And I can click tab, and it just inserts it. So I use this kind of code complete stuff, and this is AI to generate that auto-generated code. And I can make it even more complicated. I could say like, iterate through every enemy and verify and check if it's close to the player. So I can give it this comment. It's basically like a prompt. And then when I click enter, it's going to try and write code for me. For some reason, it's commenting it all out, but it's still writing all this code. Yeah, that was a little bit weird that it commented everything out, but you can see what I mean. That is it. If you can prompt it for certain code things, and that helps. But mainly where I find it useful is stuff like this, where it's like, I typed in focus x or player.x. It makes sense that it would be able to autofill that with this, because Look at all these times where I do that. I type camx, and then it's automatically able to figure out what to do for cam y because it sees what I did for the previous line. So this is where it's most helpful, is files like this. What engine? This is Love2D. I think you use simple code for yourself, and you can understand that work. Yeah, I think that's one of the big appeals of a framework, is that since I'm coding everything myself, it gives me the incentive to keep things simple. And since everything is simple, that makes it easier to work with overall. It's just a nice system in place. What happens when you turn off collisions, person, turquoise writing headphones? I don't know. I don't know. I would probably clip through the ground, I guess. I'm on the second floor, so I'd probably fall through the floor into the apartment below me. I switched engines as I got bored of GM2. Hey, well, that's all fine. They're all good, so any engine that you go with will be able to make a good game. Because, like, you can look up any engine and find some games that were made with it that are successful. What's Lua? It's a coding language. So let's go back to this. I'm still wanting to... Is that engine completely free? Yes, it's open source and completely free. Let's see if this section looks better if I move this down, because if I had more room, that'd be nice. How long will stream? I normally go for 2 hours, so an hour and 15 minutes more. I think this is okay. I'm gonna do this. There we go. So let's get back to... What is this? Did I ever use monogame? I don't use monogame anymore, just because Love2D and monogame are pretty similar because they're both frameworks, and I think Love2D is a little bit easier to work with, or it's less tedious to work with because monogame has a few aspects of it that I don't like. It's like it has the content pipeline, which is a little bit annoying to work with, but it's minor. It's not that big of a deal. It's all about personal preference. I just personally prefer Lua and Love2D a little bit more, and so that's why I use it. There's not much rhyme or reason beyond that. So I'm gonna try and move this down. I think I'm gonna move this stuff up. This is what making levels looks like for me. It's just constantly redoing the same exact stuff over and over and over again. RTX 5090 opinion? I don't know. My graphics card is 1080 Ti, I think. So it's not anything fancy at all, but dude, I like it gets the job done. As long as you have a graphics card, I think that it'll be just fine. So I don't think a 5090 is necessary at all. I can still play I can play any game that I want to, just not on max settings, and that doesn't bother me that much. As long as I can get good frame rate. Frame rate's the thing that I care about the most. Where? There we go. How can I check every frame if two boxes are colliding in Winfield? Because enter only check once. Ooh, that's something I actually struggle with. You want to see a bug that I need to fix? I'll show you guys a bug that I need to fix. Let's go to here. So here's a bug that I need to fix. And it's exactly what you were just talking about with the on-enter. So right now, when the player collides with these spikes, it uses the on-enter to determine if you take damage. So if I walk into these spikes, I'm going to take damage. But if I keep walking into the spikes, I won't take any more damage. So I'm still walking into the spikes. Why ain't I taking damage? Still not taking damage. You only take damage when you enter it. If I want to take damage again, I have to leave and come back and hit it. So that's exactly what you were talking about with the on-enter. And my answer to that is you have to check it in a different way than on-enter. So there's some situations where, like, if you look at the player, do you see the player has a little circle check on the inside of him? In addition to the player's hitbox, there's also this circle. This is a hurt box. This is checking to see if there's any enemies or anything dangerous in its vicinity. And if there is, then you get hurt. So if I walk into fire, for example, this fire has a circle hitbox, and if that circle overlaps with my circle, then I'm going to take damage, even if I stand in it. So it's a different problem than the spikes. So my answer to your question is code your damages like the fire here, and don't code it how I coded my spikes. What's my keyboard? My keyboard is just some mechanical keyboard from Amazon. They're brown switches. Then why the spikes not work? Well, the spikes do work. They're just it's just using the on-enter logic. Why not use the fire damage for spikes? Well, you can, and you do. So if you have a torch, you can pick that up, and let's go over to those again. So you can use fire to break these apart. That's already a mechanic. But it is still weird that you can just like keep walking into it. But no, you step away, walk into it again. Weird. What's my headset? Oh, this is Bose QC. They're Bose Quiet Comforts, whatever the most recent version is, because I bought these probably 9 months ago. But I'm a big fan of Bose headsets because I don't know if it's just me, but my ears stick out, and when I wear like over ear headphones, my ears hit the inside of the headset, and it drives me nuts. But they don't do that with these. Did I get a haircut? No. Or maybe I did. I got like a month ago. I need to get a haircut again. I need to get some hair product, honestly, because it's falling flat, and I don't like how it looks when it falls flat like this. At this point, it's a setup overview. Yeah, maybe at some point I can do that. I showed my monitor in one video recently, but the monitor is the highlight of the whole setup because it's one of those ultra-wide monitors. So what I was going to do is back here. I'm cute. Thank you. Appreciate that. I think I'm cute too. Let's go and grab this and go back to doing this. So again, I need to keep this gap big enough so that if the player tried to go from here and try to cross over to this side, they wouldn't be able to make it because the water's too big of a gap. But also, there needs to be enough room up here so that I can... let's see. Maybe I can do this in a different way. But how do I pay my bills with game dev? That's a great question. I don't consider that too personal at all. So the truth is, I was a software engineer for a long time. I had a career in software development, and I made a lot of money, and I lived well below my means. I was very, very conscious about what I was spending, and I spent no money. I had no life. I would lived super, super frugally, and I learned how to invest. I saved back all my money, and I eventually reached the point where I was able to sustain myself with that alone. But it's also subsidized with my YouTube income because YouTube pays like $300 a month. It's a little bit. And then I also have my Udemy courses. My Udemy courses brings in a little bit of extra money too. So the combination of all those things is how I pay the bills. I do not make a single dollar. I have never made a single dollar from game development. I have never sold any games for money. And I've been making games my whole life. Once Moonshire is done, that will be the first game that I charge for money. So this is not something that is a sustainable lifestyle for me. This is something that I saved up for and worked very hard to get into. How much longer will I be streaming today? About another hour. So that's why I am conscious and well-grounded. Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think so. So what I'm going to try with this, actually, so I like I was saying, I'm worried about people being able to cross this water section. And so maybe I can try something like making this like extend out like that. You'll go pick up the course on Udemy? That's really kind of you. Thank you. There's a Lua one and a Mono Game one. I think they're both good. My brush is a little... You can see this. Look. So I'm trying to paint this wall in, but you can see that it gets messed up like that sometimes. Like, I'm trying to paint this in, but it's like screwing up. I think that's because I configured the brush incorrectly. I'm still kind of new to using tiled properly, so I think I just have it. Wait, editor, this is tiled. Do I have code in auto tile painting? No, there's no code necessary for this. This is all built into tiled. And tiled has, if I go to like the tile sets, so you can see the tiles down here. And if I edit the tile set, I can zoom in and open up the terrain set, and then you can see over here like this red outline and this and this. This is how you configure it. And I think that the reason why it's getting messed up actually is because I don't have one that has this configuration. I think I need one that has that. So that's how you do the terrain brushes. Terrain brushes have been a lifesaver. Absolute lifesaver. You need to leave? No worries. Thanks for stopping in. Where player enters to the spikes, you can call a function that takes damage from the player every 3 seconds. That's basically what this inner circle is doing. So I showed this inner circle on top of the player. That's basically what is going on here, is that it's just constantly calling a damage check. Whereas the regular spikes weren't doing that. Share Udemy course? Sure. Actually, you know what? Since people are talking about it, I'll share a link to it. How about I share a free link? No one buy it. If you're in the stream today, I'll share a link today that will make it free for today. Whoops, don't look at this. Give me one moment and I'll post the link. Da 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 da. Okay, I sent the link in the chat. Hopefully it showed up. Let me make sure. Alrighty. Looks like we're live. So if you use the link I sent, it should make it free. It's good for 100 redemptions. So anyone in chat, if you want to redeem it, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it tomorrow. So if you're here in chat today, you can go ahead and redeem it on Udemy. That's totally fine. Yes, it's free. Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to help. If this helps out anyone, that's more useful to me than charging money for it. But yeah, that coupon that I sent in chat will be that'll work for the rest of the day. Okay, back to this. Thanks, thank you. Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to help. You went ahead and bought the course? Well, that's so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Let's get this working. You should make a link character that you can interact with for a special message. I'm very cautious about doing any sort of specific Zelda reference just because I don't really want to take any risks. I'm worried about that stuff. Let's get rid of the details and the terrain. This is kind of annoying me. I'm going to move this. Actually, no, I can move this over here. How did I make cutscene? I'm sorry, I already talked about how I did cutscenes, but it's all done through a file called cutscene.lua that I made. It just sets the camera at a specific focus position and it moves it around. Can you apply the same principles you're using with Tiled to make a platformer? Yes, you can. So if you look at my channel, actually, probably the videos from 3 years ago. Actually, I'll just go ahead and pull up the video. I have a video from 3 years ago that shows me working with Tiled on a platformer. It's a reasonably popular video. For the time, at least. Yeah, actually. Here, I'll share the link to this, too. Let's watch this. I like this video. Or I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. We're gonna skip ahead. Oh, look at... Ew! What the heck? Did I really look like this? Look at how I looked. I look like a scary, pale thing. Is this gonna be a swamp area? No, it's gonna be just a regular area. Anyway, that's what I look like, apparently 3 years ago. That's freaky. I'm glad I don't look like that anymore. It looks like I haven't been outside in, a decade in this video. But yeah, this video shows, quite the change in a good way. I think so too. I still look like me, but the hair is not flattering in this shot. It looks like I'm bald and I have like a little thing on top of my head. That's funny. I'm glad I posted videos of myself from 3 years ago. I'm gonna be happy that I have all these videos of myself and all these streams when I'm older. I can look back and say, look, I used to be an attractive young man. And I can look back at this video and say, look, I used to be a pale skeleton. I'm going to... My cheeks look fuller. So, yeah, I've gained a lot of weight in a good way. I was very underweight back when I was a kid. And I am a more appropriate weight now. I think I'm gonna make a little bit more space up here. I don't know what I want to put up in this section, though. I don't really need anything. You could use the distance between function with Pythagoras theorem to check the collision. Yeah, you can. So there's probably a few places in my game where I check collisions using distance between. So I bet there's plenty. The best example I can give is like this one, where this is used for pathfinding, and it's using this distance between to find the closest tile. That's not exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, this isn't really what we're talking about. Let me think of a better idea. How about weapon? Because weapon uses distance between to determine if it needs to be lit up or not. So if in the game, if I walk over near one of these spears, we're gonna see that, like, when I get close to it, the exclamation point pops up. And same with the NPCs. And it's doing what you're describing, where it's doing a constant check of distance between. It's checking the distance between the player and the spear. And if the distance is close enough, then there's a collision. It's not really a collision, it's just checking if they're close enough. But if you want to check and see if two circles are overlapping, you can check that by just checking their distances. Because if I pull up paint, for example, and then I draw a big circle, I'm going to draw a big red circle, and then a big... let me make this bigger too. Oh, I need to change the song because it has that dumb drum beat. It's too loud, it's too annoying. 1 second, let me change the song. I need to remember to edit the drum beat out. Anyway, we got the red circle, and then we got the blue circle. And if you want to check and see, is there an overlap between the blue circle and the red circle? You can calculate the distance between them and use that to help figure it out. When is the next Moonshire update coming out? I know it's been a while, and I wish I could give you a solid date, but I don't know exactly yet. There's a lot of progress. A lot of progress is coming. I'm so sorry for stuttering. A lot of progress is on the way. I have so much to show, but it does have to be ready before I send it out. Wouldn't it be faster to use a grid? I do kind of use a grid, so if the grid for tiles is like that. When we pull up draw, we're gonna draw tile states. So this is kind of like a grid, the way this all works. So the whole world is a grid, and as I walk around, it's kind of hard to see because it's zoomed in so much. So you can see as I move around the states of each tile in the grid, it's able to determine like the proximity and the line of sight with the player. And it's doing a lot of what you were saying with like distance between, and it's doing a raycast between the tile and the player. What do I think about Godot? I think Godot is awesome. I haven't used this personally, but I've been watching more and more videos about it. More and more people are using it. It's getting really popular. I'm gonna turn all that stuff off. You know, I really should make a setting for this. In fact, I could do that now. That'd be kind of fun. I think ellipses are very tricky, though. Ellipses are tricky. I have a few in the game. Let me think. What would be a good one to show? The crocodile boss. I'll show the crocodile boss because he has ellipses. So let's go to... I have not shown this yet, and I don't think that it's super solid. But... So there's this boss here. It doesn't have sound effects yet. Godot Enjoyer has been summoned. Yeah. I mean, Godot is so popular. Everyone's been using it. Oh. I got stuck. Okay, so I started this boss because I wanted to show the hitboxes. So if you look closely at some of the hitboxes for this guy, yeah, like that's an ellipse right there. All those points. Ow. It's a little buggy. His jump also has an ellipse. Yeah, when he hits the ground, it makes a big ellipse shape. Man, he's jumping. I think I need to make this boss easier since this is supposed to be the first boss. That thing is awesome, thanks. Ellie did the sprite work. I made some adjustments to it myself, though. And then it took me a while to code all this stuff. The camera is... oh, shoot. The camera is based off of a library. Uh-oh, what happened? Okay, the game crashed. Because enemy action 263. Okay, let's fix this. Enemy action. 263. Let's find that line. How? It says calling get X on bad self. Body expected got nil. I checked this. That doesn't make sense. I'm gonna maybe if n.dead. I don't know why this is triggering it. Because what happened is the game crashed because this line here, n.physics : get X. So I tried to call get X on n.physics, but n.physics was nil. And if n.physics is nil, if you try to call get X on nil, it's going to crash. You can't do that. So that's why I had this line up here that says, if not n.physics, then return nil. That means that it's going to cancel this function completely if there's no physics. But even though I had this check, it still tried to do this, and it still crashed. Enemy move 44? Enemy move 44. If end.next sleep effect. If n.dead or not physics. So I'm hoping that this is gonna do it. Oh, sorry, I was looking at shouldn't it be or? It should be or. You're right. Thank you. Yeah, good point. Thanks for pointing that out. That should have been or. Good call. Okay, so having that in there, it's just an additional check that I put in, just in case. Because maybe there's something with the way saying not physics works, and I'm hoping that n.dead is going to catch that, because if the map switched, because what happened is the map switched, which destroyed the crocodile, but then after the new map loaded and the crocodile was already destroyed, it tried to call this function anyway. So something is actually calling spawn effect over here. Because it called this. So that means that this function got called after the enemy died. And that's why I added this line here. Because you shouldn't jump up if you're dead. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm dead, I'm not jumping. I don't know about you guys. And this gets called do leap. Okay, where does this get called? See, this is what it's like. You just keep going backwards. So when an animation ends, oh, anim hit start. And this is weird because it's actually successfully getting physics here. If n.dead or not n.physics, then return no. What's that function of that double n? There's two n's. Let's see. I don't know where you were looking, but there's like this one. It's always all of the ends. If you're talking about this, maybe if you're talking about an end, the ends are just like curly braces. So this is the start of the curly brace, and this is the ending curly brace. This is the closing curly brace. And same with this one. This is basically the then is an opening curly brace, and the end is a closing curly braces. So in any big section like this, there needs to be the same number of opening curly braces as closing ones, which is why like this is the first opening, this is another opening, and this is a close, and this is a close. But there's all kinds of those in here too. There's an end, like you can do if statements on single lines too. That might have been the other thing you were saying, is that you can say like all of this is on one line. If next sleep jump sound, then play the sound, and it's all on one line. It's kind of nice. How am I handling Z ordering? Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I can show that. I like talking about that. So in Sprite Manager. So for anyone who's not aware, Z ordering or Z layering or Z buffer or whatever, there's a bazillion names for it. Okay, I actually screwed something up. Enemy move 32. I forgot my end. Yeah, I forgot my end. Oh shoot, what was I gonna do? Dang it, that always happens where I forget what I was gonna do. I always start the game and I'm like, I was gonna do something and I don't remember what it was now. Something to do with the crocodile, I guess. I guess we can check and see if he crashes again. Oh, Z ordering. Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because I forgot what I was working on. So Z ordering, the Z layering. What this means is that when I'm standing in front of the telescope, the player covers the telescope. Like, the player's head is covering up the telescope. But if I walk behind the telescope is covering up the player. And that's something that I actually have to manually code that. I code it so that every item in the game, including like these boxes too, or this this guy, or this fire. I'm being covered by the fire. Now I'm covering the fire. It's all that Z ordering. And this takes place over here in the sprite manager file that I made. And what it does is it has like all these tables, the sprites, the under sprites, the floor sprites, and it every single frame, it iterates through every single tree, every single wall, every single prop, and it inserts that sprite into that table. And after every single sprite, every single draw event gets iterated through and added to this list, it goes and it's going to sort this whole list, this single line that I have highlighted. This is sorting the list by its Y position. So things in the back are in the back, and things in the front are in the front. It's ordering by the Y position. And then it draws things in that order, based on Y position. And that's how this works. So every frame is constantly checking, is the player behind the telescope, or is he in front of the telescope? Very fun stuff indeed, I agree. Z-buffers are the funnest part for 3D engines. That's cool. I'm actually not sure how that works in 3D engines. I'd have to look more into that. That sounds like a cool topic, though. I'm going to adjust this some more. I'm going to do... do I use Box2D? Yes, I use Box2D. Although Winfield is for more than just collisions. No, I don't think so. I think I just use it for collisions. I guess I do kind of use it for the player's movement. So the player has a physics hitbox, and when you slide to a stop, that is technically using the physics world. But that is kind of a collision in itself, though, because it's colliding with the world and having friction. So really, long story short, no, it's just the physics. It's just the collisions. Your device is on 1%. Yeah, that's that would make it tough to watch. How do you communicate with tiled for Z ordering? Ooh, that's a good question. I didn't even answer that. So in tiled, if you look at this map, for example, every map has its own layers as well. So there, let's just make everything invisible. So we have the simple green, we have the base, we have another layer of base, we have the terrain, we have elevation, and so on. So you can see that there's all these different layers that make up the whole map. And in my draw function, when I actually draw the tiles, because the sprite manager isn't drawing any of the tiles, this is drawing all the objects. The tiles are drawn here, and we're in this function called draw map layers. And you can see that it's iterating through every map layer. If there's a background layer, draw it. If there's a base layer, draw it. If there's an environment layer, draw it, and so on. It just goes through every single one in the proper order. So always the terrain layer is always going to be underneath of the elevation layer, which is always underneath of all of the platform layers, which is underneath the objects layers. It's the same for every map. And that's how the ordering is handled there. But that also means that the tiled map layer positioning doesn't programmatically change like it does with the sprite manager, because the sprite manager updates every frame to have the proper current the proper current offset, or the current Y value of the object, and the tiled layers themselves don't really have that. So that's why there's like these top layers. If I go to Yeah. Like, look how this cliff is covering up the player. That cliff is covering up the player because that cliff is on this layer called top. And top always gets drawn over the player. It always gets drawn over top of everything, really. Lua don't have Switch. I don't know if it does. I don't think it does because I don't use them. Do I want game recommendations? Sure, yeah. What do you use alongside Love2D and VS Code? At the moment, that's mainly what I'm using. But yeah, the other software I use, though, is like Tiled for the level editing. I use Audacity for the sound effects. I use FL Studio for music. I'm trying to think of anything else to use. Sprite for pixel art. If you became a millionaire, what's the first thing you'll do? Well, $1 million doesn't go that far these days. Like, $1 million is enough for you to retire on, but it's not really enough for you to, like, live it up. You know, that can buy you a house. It can buy you a few cars. Like, so, like, if you become a millionaire, that means that you are a responsible working class person who saved up in their working 401k their whole life. That's pretty normal. But $1 million, like, I wouldn't spend $1 million. I would use it wisely, is what I would say. That's a very boring answer, though. Highly recommend No Man's Sky. I've been playing it for all week straight. Yeah, I actually talked about No Man's Sky kind of recently. If you're not aware, No Man's Sky had one of the worst launches of any game ever. It was very bad because the developers and Sony were misleading about the kind of content that was included in No Man's Sky, and specifically the lead developer, the lead like communications member, he was just straight up saying false information and lying about No Man's Sky and the stuff that's included. Like, is multiplayer in the game? He says, yes, multiplayer's in the game, but the universe is so vast and so big that you'll never come across anyone. But there is multiplayer. But he was lying. That wasn't even true. Multiplayer didn't come until later. The game seems to be in an awesome state now. It seems like really, No Man's Sky seems like they put in everything that they could have possibly wanted in the game. I wish that the game as it is currently today is what they released back when they first launched, because they ruined their reputation so badly with that launch of No Man's Sky. It was that bad. It was so bad that I'm sorry, I just can't play No Man's Sky. I can't see past how poorly that launch was, and even though they fixed all those issues, like that, it's just not. It's the same with Cyberpunk. That's the other example I gave. When Cyberpunk came out, it didn't even work for me. I had it on PS4. It cost $70 or something, and it was just busted. It was so bad. But now Cyberpunk is in such a good state that like its Game of the Year level's good, and that's on me. I should be able to see past that so I can play this game that's really good now. I want to play good games, but I'm stubborn, and that I'm just like, Cyberpunk screwed me over when they launched. No Man's Sky screwed me over when they launched. I don't even want to try it. Maybe that's short-sighted of me and stubborn of me not to give it another chance. But at the same time, like, it really, I remember how I felt back when those games launched and how pissed off I was that they put out games that weren't finished. And I don't know, I just can't see past that, I guess. They said there would be 2 quadrillion planets, and I think that there is, though. I feel like they got it back. It's amazing. Yeah, I've been seeing so much footage, and there's so many features. It really does seem like they nailed it. No Man's Sky seems so cool. No Man's Sky is what Starfield wishes it could have been. It really is sad that they got off on the wrong foot, though, because they soiled their reputation with me specifically, and I'm not going to play No Man's Sky because of it. That's again, maybe that's an immature way to do it. Maybe that's an immature take, but I just, that's how I feel. I managed to get past that feeling, and Cyberpunk was amazing to try. Yeah, I believe it. I've been seeing so much cool footage. And that's the thing, is like, I don't even think that there's a better looking game out there. It looks so cool. Or like high quality. I was the same with Lords of the Fallen, $300 and I got the terrible game. Yeah. One of your favorites of all time. Yeah. Lords of the Fallen, when it came out, I remember all the reviews were very mixed, even though visually it looked amazing and there were some awesome bosses and cool fights and a lot of cool stuff. I have heard the same thing, where they put a lot of effort into making the game better, And I love that. And I'm glad that you can go back and play a game that is fixed. And that's also the appeal of being a patient gamer, where you don't play games when they come out. Because AAA games these days, it's such a mixed bag of if it's even going to work or not. It's strange how lax everyone's gotten with quality. I gave it a chance and it worked out. Yeah, and if I gave it a chance at the right time, it would have worked out for me too. And that's just the nature of games. And that's also the beauty that we can update games over time. If a game comes out and it's bad, it's not always going to be bad. Cyberpunk is good now. Their catchphrase for Phantom Liberty was, "The game's fixed." I thought that was really clever. Did I ever play Hotline Miami? Yeah, actually, I think I own it. Yeah, I do. I didn't put too much time into it. It says 14 minutes. I've definitely put more time than 14 minutes into it. I don't know where my time... I must have played it on a different console then. But I played through Hotline Miami. I like this game. And this was made with GameMaker, by the way. I think I have a few GameMaker games here. I have Undertale. This is a GameMaker game. I have Hyperlight Drifter. That's a GameMaker game. Rivals of Aether. This is a GameMaker game. I think that's it. I don't see any more. Downwell. Downwell was made with GameMaker as well. Let me verify that. Downwell Game Engine. GameMaker. Yep, I was right. GameMaker is awesome. I love Downwell. I love Downwell too. This is such a good game. I really love this game. Hotline Miami is so simple you could recreate it in a day. Yeah, it's from a gameplay perspective, yeah, it is very simple. The polish comes from the level design. It comes from the aesthetics, because the music and graphics are really cool. So even if the game's simple, it's the same with... Actually, you know, a lot of GameMaker games are like that, where they are simple. Like, Downwell is very simple. You could code this game pretty quickly, but it's very clever, and it's very stylish too. So it's not always about how complex it is. It's about just how well is it made. Recreating will always be easier than creating. I completely agree with that for sure. Even so, I think it's always a good idea to go back and play 30 minutes of game to see if it's just maybe in a moment feeling to turn you away. Yeah, I highly recommend, but you do what you feel. I'm with you. I am openly able to admit that the way that I'm feeling about No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk is somewhat irrational. Because if this is a company that proved that they can, like, walk back these bad decisions or fix problems that a game had, I should respect that. I should respect that and be encouraging of them doing that. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just tough for me to do. Okay, let's get this moved down. The way I work with the cliffs is really hard because I can't use a brush for it. I could probably use a brush to make these cliffs, but I haven't had much luck. So it's always been a little bit hard working with these cliffs. Do I have ADHD? No. I don't think so. I mean, if I did, I don't know. Oops. Come on, come on, come on. Aw, man, this is all in the wrong layer. When will the game be released? It'll be a while, I'm sorry. I know it's gonna take a while. Or I should say, I know it's been a while. No, come on. I still think I put these on the wrong layer again. I want these to be on elevation 2. Yeah, this goes up here, and then elevation 1 has this stuff. There we go. See, the reason why this is difficult is because you can like see a little bit behind certain layers, so you have to put 2 layers of elevation, and that's what makes the brush so difficult with this one. Pokemon Emerald OST, yeah, I love Emerald's OST. This is actually Omega Ruby, and I think that soundtrack is my favorite Pokemon soundtrack because I am so nostalgic for Gen 3, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did such a good job with recreating those songs, in my opinion. I think I like the original game more because Omega Ruby is too easy. If they made Omega Ruby harder, I would love it. I bet there's mods that make it harder. I'm a developer for a lot of years now. I think 14 years plus. I really love to make games, but I'm terrible with art. Any tips? So I struggle with art too. And my tip is to, well, one, work on improving your art, because my art from 5 years ago is much worse than the art that I can do today. And if you do a little bit of artwork every single day, just anything simple, whatever style you want to go with. I do pixel art. But there's people who do vector art or 3D modeling. But whatever you want to work on, that's what it takes to get better at. The only secret is you have to do it every single day, and you have to get through that phase of being bad at it. So that's the first step. And then my other tip is don't be afraid to let other people help you, because making a game involves coding, it involves design, it involves writing, it involves music, it involves sound effects. It involves so much stuff. And if artwork is something that you don't enjoy and you are bad at, and you think that it would be better if a talented, experienced artist stepped in and helped you out with that, don't be afraid to do that. I think that's okay. You should pay them for their work. You should pay them for their time. Make sure they are credited. But there is nothing wrong with using open source sprites, paying for asset packs, anything that can speed things up for you, because as a solo developer, it's just, there's way too much on your plate to get anything done. If I didn't use any open source sprites or paid asset packs for this game, I would be so much farther behind. And this is already taking an insane amount of time. So anything that you can do to make it slightly better or slightly more time effective will be for the best. Did I study computer science in school? Yeah, I got a bachelor's in computer science. Amazing answer, thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to help. I relate to your plight on a very personal level. And it took me a while to get over that mentality of, well, if I didn't make everything, it's not really my game. And that's just not true. I remember feeling that way when I was a kid. I was like, I can't use anyone else's sprites. I'm going to use all my own. I'm going to make everything myself. I'm going to make all the music, all the sounds. I'm going to code every single thing. No open source libraries, no engines. I'm going to be all on my own. And if you're able to do that, that's awesome. But most people can't. And the vast majority of people, also consider this. If you're only kind of good at art, that means that someone else can do artwork better than you. And if you allow them to help you, then the final product is going to be better quality. And if that's the goal, if your goal is to make the highest quality game that you can make, then you should do that. You'd be a fool not to. Or I shouldn't say fool. It's just a stubbornness thing. It's just something you need to grow out of, because all big games, even like Undertale. Undertale is a game made by one guy, but even he had help with making some of the sprites and doing some of the stuff. Like that, there's multiple people in the credits for that game, even though Toby Fox is the guy who made it. And it's gonna be the same with me. Like, my game has credits too, and there's gonna be other people that help me, even though I'm the one that did the vast majority of the work. I don't really code, I just like watching developers. I think that's perfectly fine. I'm trying to set up Electron, and I ran the nmp start command Electron. I don't think I'm familiar. Do you have an editor? Well, so this is the map editor, and no, a framework like Love2D doesn't have any sort of editor like Unity does, or Unreal, or Godot. It's just text. It's just code editors like this. And if I want to design levels, I have to open up this separate like window and design the maps, and then import this map into the code, where it then gets rendered through the game engine. How many tiles does the game have? A lot. Let's see. I can show a few of the tile sets. So I got the cliffs. I got all these object pieces. I got the terrain. We got some texture. We got the water. And this is acid down here. But the water's animated. That's why there's so many frames here. Each one of these images is a different frame of the tile. Waterfall. Again, each one of those frames is a frame of the animation. So there's quite a few. And there's some that are different between maps. Like, I think the caves have different ones. Yeah, like this one has a cave tile set. So yeah, there's all kinds of them. What's been the hardest part of my game dev journey? Probably artwork, and then after that, it was level design, because I used to hate it. I used to just dislike it. Well, okay, how about this? I think it's normal for people to dislike doing things that they're not good at. If you're not good at art, doing art normally isn't very fun. And that is how I feel. I'm kind of okay at art, so I don't hate it anymore. I don't hate art. But it is a very challenging aspect for me, and therefore it's not really something I enjoy as much as programming, because I'm very good at programming, and I can do any of this stuff very naturally. So I think that's one aspect of it that I am considering, is that I'm just better at some things than other things. And level design is like that too, where I just did not like it, because I think I just wasn't good at it either. I didn't really understand the purpose. I was always like, as long as it's fun to hit things with a sword, that's all that matters. But really, that's a little too simple. I'm sorry for stuttering. I'm trying to explain what I mean. Is that working on these maps has made me realize what direction I want to take certain things, because the level design is a very big part of any given game. It seems obvious now, but I didn't really realize it at the time. Did I study anything about game dev? Nope. Nope, I've never had any game development training or classes or anything. Okay, this is pretty good, because no one's gonna be able to cross this. Maybe I can. I want a little bit more room. I want a little bit more space, so I'm gonna make it bigger. Did you learn every topic separately, like taking an art course, taking a level design course? or did you learn everything together as you made more games? It's that. I learned everything by teaching myself as I was making games. And that's probably going to be true for most skills, where creating something is going to be a better learning vehicle than like sitting in a classroom. I talked before about how with programming, for example, I got my degree in computer science, and my coding skill today is probably 5% from my computer science degree, and then 95% from working jobs that force me to use programming in a practical and difficult way. A classroom is not going to teach you anything about. I shouldn't say it's not going to teach you nothing. You're going to get some value out of a classroom setting, but I do think that a job or a project is going to teach you much, much, much more than any classroom possibly could, because when in the real world, it forces you to solve problems, whereas a classroom, the problems are designed to be solved. A company doesn't pay people to solve problems that are already solved. They pay you to solve very challenging problems that aren't solved yet, and that requires a lot of deep thinking that you don't really get in a classroom. My PC is starting to sound like a rocket, so I think it's working. Nice. That's awesome. How did I learn pixel art? There was no learning, it was just practicing. I made little sprites in GameMaker when I was a kid making games with it, and the sprites were bad. They didn't look good, but every year that I was doing it, it would get a little bit better and better and better. And I'm still learning. I'm still not at a point where I'm super confident. Not all of this stuff is done by me. I do a lot of editing for all the sprites, but starting from scratch, I don't do too many sprites from scratch anymore. Just like the small sprites, like the weapons I do from scratch, or little decorations, but most of the stuff comes from either I commission someone to start it off, or I find some open source or paid asset pack that helps me out. You still creating? Wow, I played your demo too long ago. Respect. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a long road, and it's still not quite there yet. But I'm happy with the direction things are going. It's definitely going in the right direction. Is that Godot? No, this is Love 2D. Well, I mean, this is Tile. This is the level editor. Alrighty, let's try and get this in place. One thing about these maps is that I need to make sure that they connect with each other properly. And something that's kind of hard, because I need to make this map connect upwards with C2. Oh, but this is going to be redesigned as well. Because I have this water here, and I'm taking this out. I do not need water here. I thought I did, but I don't. So I'm going to be removing that later on too. So I can do however I want to do it now. I can just do like this. So again, this little section up here is meant to be a little fight arena, so there needs to be a lot of space. It's okay. I don't think it needs to be this wide. I'd say this is acceptable. I'm not too satisfied though. I think I'm gonna move all of this over to the right a little bit more. When making a game, is it better to focus on learning only what you need rather than mastering the entire coding language? Oh, definitely don't master the entire coding language. Just make a game, and if you don't know everything, you're not going to know everything. And when you run into a problem, you'll have to figure out how to do it in that moment. And that's what's going to teach you stuff. Is you're going to run into problems, and overcoming those problems is how you will learn. And so that means you can't go in fully prepared. you're going to go in somewhat prepared. Maybe you followed some tutorials, maybe you know a little bit of coding already, that's fine. But you're going to go in not having made a game before. And so you're going to run into a problem very quickly, like, how do I make a character move? Or why is it all jittery? Or why is the performance so bad? Or what? A million problems can go wrong. And when you run into that problem, you're going to have to start doing research online. You're going to have to get really good at Googling stuff. You're going to have to Google, why is my game stuttering like this when I did X, Y, and Z? And do research and figure it out. And after you figure it out, you're never going to make that same mistake again. You're going to keep learning those things and keep learning the little quirks of working with your engine. All this stuff that I'm doing now, I learned it from doing it the wrong way first and then fixing it. So that's my advice: is don't prepare too much. Like follow some tutorials and you can get a feel for game dev and get a feel for programming, but it's not that complicated. Just get started with it, and you'll learn what you need to learn, and you'll also learn how to learn too. Yeah, you don't want to spend too much time preparing, because all that preparation, you'll learn that you prepared in the wrong way, or you didn't need to. I don't know. It's the same with my game, where I plan a lot of stuff out on paper. I talked in a recent video about how I had like notebooks full of stuff. I designed so many levels on paper because I think that I can think my way through these problems, but I can't. You have to actually do it, and then you'll run into new problems that will, like, you didn't even think you were going to run into. You're going to run into new ideas. You're going to learn new things that you didn't even anticipate. So you can't really prepare for any of this stuff. It's what I like to say, just code, dude. Exactly. Thinking about coding is fine, but that's not nearly as productive as actually coding. You're using GameMaker 2 for yours? Nice. I really like GameMaker 2. Or GameMaker in general. GameMaker is what I started off with a long time ago. This is a little small. I think I need it to be bigger. Same with all of this stuff. My mantra is to get it working first, refine later. Totally. Definitely agree with that. He's been asking me about particle thing a lot. Sorry, I didn't see it. Will he make a tutorial about particle system in Love 2D? Not exactly, because the way particles works is they're all case by case. So I have a bunch of effects, like the snow. I think I showed the snow, or effect 1. I have effect and effect 2. So snow. This is an example of a particle, but all it is just an object that moves across the screen. And man, this is actually kind of complicated. It fades, it rotates, and it gets drawn with alpha channel. And it uses this flux to make the movement happen. So it's going from the upper left of the screen to the bottom right of the screen. And that's how that particle works. But it's just constantly spawning these snow particles all the time. But I do have other ones, like I have particle event. And this is for things like when you break a box. So if I go over to, like, I think I have them over here. Yeah, like that. So that was a particle. How the particles like flew off all those wood pieces. I got the Udemy Chalkade course. Awesome. Game looks great. Thank you. Whoa. So what I want to do with this level is I want to put like a sign or something that says beware of spikes, be sure to dodge out of the way, to help clarify that you can... Love to D is not used for Game Maker 2, they're entirely separate. So let's see. Oh, that's so weird. Why did it do that? I think one of the hitboxes is lingering. So let's go back to the... Have I ever tried NeoVim? No, I have not. I'm actually not familiar with that. You love how juicy the animations are? Thanks. Yeah, I think they're pretty juicy at times. This is still just not quite enough space that I want. I really want a little bit more. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, I'm doing my best to answer all the chat, but I'm also trying to be productive. I have a problem with my streams where either I'm constantly looking at chat and then I'm not doing anything at the game, or I'm doing a lot of stuff with the game and I'm not looking at chat. So I'm doing my best. How did I start my game? It started as like a Zelda fan game, actually. There's some of my oldest videos. Actually, I think the oldest video on the channel kind of shows that. No, the oldest video on the channel is the Luo one. Second oldest. Second oldest might be Monogame. I don't know my channel very well, apparently. The video helped to get ideas? Awesome, I'm glad. Let's try and get this looking good. I really want this to be enough space. And this is the funny thing too, is last night I was drawing this on my iPad. I was planning out how I wanted this section to look, and I was drawing it on my iPad, but I knew that once I started implementing it, I knew that the dimensions of all the space I had here might not work right. I think this is okay, but it's just not quite as much space as I was hoping for. Okay, but let's try it out and see how much room there is. Actually, third oldest, yeah. Thoughts on Godot? I think Godot was awesome. It's growing in popularity. What I like about it is that it's open source. That's the main thing that I like about it. Open source in 3D. Oh, I need to get rid of all these. Let's get rid of all the walls. Actually, let's get rid of all the objects in general. I don't think I need any of this. What software do I use for making videos? I use Camtasia for video editing, but I use OBS to record everything, and then I use Audacity to record the audio. Well, I guess not anymore. Now I use OBS to record the audio since I film everything now. Yes, I'm a Scratch user. Yeah, Scratch is awesome. I used to teach Scratch at high school. You know what? Actually, I think I can make this better by moving this exit to the right some more. I think this will help out a lot. Because then I can move this. when you were a kid, you made some awesome games with raycasting and Scratch. Cool. Let's move this over. Well, we're gonna do like here and then move. Is your engine, is this your engine or just tile map editor? This is just the tile editor. The engine is Love2D, and all of that just happens in like the code editor, but in order to edit the levels, I need to use an external tool like this. And I think I'm going to move this one another tile over. That should be fine. Wagado is worse than Unity. Yeah, I'm curious for people's opinions on that stuff. I think Unity is fine. I know that they had the drama a couple years ago, or a year or two ago. I don't remember when that was. But I think that that wasn't enough for me to discount the whole engine just because of that. What's the best tip in your opinion to get started with game development and game art? To get started, I would recommend using like an open source asset pack to get started. And once you have the game feeling good to play, then switch over to like your own custom sprites and your own custom assets, because asset creation takes a long time and you want to make sure that the game is actually going in the right direction before you invest too much time into that. Unity is a great engine that had terrible management. Yeah, I agree with that. I think most people agree that it's a great engine. I mean, if someone thinks it's a bad engine, I'm curious why you would think that. I can understand why someone would be uncomfortable with the way the company is managing it, though. That makes perfect sense. Whoops. You played the demo this past week and it's awesome? Who did the music? I did all the music. Thank you. And thank you for playing the demo. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of how the music turned out. I think it sounds good. I guess this is fine. I'm gonna move this over. There we go. Unity got too sluggish and bloated for what I wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, it certainly would depend on your PC too, but yeah, it's definitely not as low or light. It's not as lightweight as like Love2D is. That's one of the biggest benefits of a framework. Have I heard of Roblox Studio? It uses Lua too. Yeah, I would say that in the Udemy course, a very high percentage of people come into the class saying that they wanted to learn Lua because of Roblox. I shouldn't say a high percentage, but a lot of young people do that. I think everyone is just roasting Unity. Well, that's the thing, is that the reputation got harmed in a very major way because of the drama. So and rightfully so, they shouldn't have done what they did, or they should have done it a different way. I'm actually in favor of the per install like fee structure. I think that's actually smart. But what I'm not in favor of is their retroactive approach to it. That didn't make any sense. That was dumb. What do I use to create the music? I use FL Studio. A lot of the instruments, or the synths that comes from Omnisphere. But my DAW is FL Studio. But I wouldn't say that I need to use FL Studio. I own it, so I decided to use it. But If I wanted to use Reaper, which is free, or LMMS, I used LMMS before this, and that one's free too. It's able to do like 95% of the stuff that FL Studio is able to do. Maybe even more than that, honestly. It's really good. Maybe I can move this up. Also, this needs to go on the wrong. There we go. Can't do that. Do you think it's worth it to buy professional software for a game? Well, it depends on what the software is. I don't think any game engines cost money. They're all free. So, no. I don't think it's worth it. I don't pay for any software. I paid for Sprite, so my pixel art software. I think this was $20. And there's also free versions of it, too, so that wasn't even necessary. I got Unity Pro for free and abandoned it. It's so not worth. I'd say that most of the time, the free version is going to be all you need for the vast majority of people. The only time that you would need like the enterprise or pro versions is if you were working on like a large scale project that you really needed all the seats for. I just don't think that applies to most people. Or even with GameMaker, I think that the free tier of GameMaker, even though that doesn't let you post it to, or even though it doesn't let you export your games to like Steam or something like that, you're not going to be posting your games to Steam. Steam games come when you're like really experienced, because it costs money to do all of that. But if you wanted to post to Steam, then yeah, you could pay for the software to do that if you needed to. Oh, Sprite's only $8. I didn't realize that. That's pretty cheap. I love Sprite. I use it every day. And also, that's how you get better at programming too, is doing it every day. Even though I like pixel art, but I don't like it as much as level design or coding. And it would be tempting for me just to say, nah, I'm not gonna do art anymore. It's just not for me. It'd be really easy for me to say that, but I'm choosing to do it the hard way and trying to learn. Fully support Sprite as a professional program. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna try doing something like this, where I have a little alcove up here. I think that'll be nice. I'm so confused. What's so good about Sprite? Like, what makes it useful? Let's talk about it. So one, it's lightweight, it's fast, it's easy to use. It supports multiple layers. It supports multiple frames, so I can animate things by like making multiple layers, and you can animate them. I think I actually have the animated version over here, so you can like play animations in Sprite. So look, you can see the water flowing, and you can see the waterfall going, and you can see each individual frame down here being played as it gets played, and I can stop it and edit each individual frame one by one, zoom in on a pixel by pixel basis. You're able to make all the edits you need. It's well made. It's a great program, and then it has all the other like nice features like color adjustments. I could adjust the hue, saturation, and change all the. Well, I can't do it right now because the file's locked, but I think you get the idea. You can import Sprite files into Unity Plain. That's really cool. I bet you could do that with Love2D too. Love2D Sprite. I bet you could do that if you have a library like this. A lightweight library for reading Sprite files into Lua. And also, this isn't too old either. with an Atlas builder. I don't know what this is. Packer. I don't even know what this is. But yeah, there's this library here that allows you to import it in. I personally, I like exporting everything as a PNG though, just because that makes it universally working. Like that image I just showed, like this is what the files look like. They're PNGs, and they're very large, but they're exported as PNG layers, and that just, it makes it more understandable for me to work with, I think. The feature was made like 4 years ago. I thought people knew about it. Well, I mean, I personally don't use Unity, so I wouldn't know about it to start with. I like Unity because it's very easy to learn and is good for the type of games. Like, yeah, totally. I think that most people should just use the ones that they like the best. If you like using Unity and it makes sense making games for the type of games you want to make, then that's the one you should use. Same with, like, because they all have examples of good games made with them, so whichever one is your preference is the one you should go with. And Twitch, please. I decided not to because you can't have the chat displayed in the video while you're multi-streaming. And I want to go back to Twitch, but specifically when I'm playing games. If I'm going to be playing any games, like when the Switch 2 comes out or any releases, or if I want to do any more streaming in addition to Moonshire Monday, I'm going to be doing that on Twitch. But Moonshire Monday, I think I'm going to keep these development streams on YouTube in one place. That's been, I feel like it's been a better experience for me and most people, because all the people are here in one chat rather than split up. But I see it both ways, because I like Twitch. I like the Twitch emotes and community and all the stuff involved with that stuff, but I don't like the ads, and I don't, mainly the ads is what I have a problem with, because I can't click on a stream and watch it for a bit. I have to click on a stream, watch an ad, and then see if I want to watch the stream. So there's pros and cons, but I like YouTube's VOD system. The VODs are really good on YouTube, and the video, or the stream player, is nice on YouTube because you can rewind. And that's good for this stream, since I show a lot of code, and I show a lot of, like, quick answers. If someone wants to rewind and see what I said, or re-listen to something I explained, I think having YouTube VODs or having the YouTube stream available to rewind is pretty cool. Do I like the new Mario Kart? The new Mario Kart, if you're talking about Mario Kart 8 for Switch, I have it and I like it. If you're talking about the Switch 2 Mario Kart, I mean, we haven't really seen too much of it yet, so it's hard to really say. I'm cautious about it just because they would need to implement something unique, because Mario Kart 8 is so good. I don't really know what they would need to change from it. I don't know what features they would add to it, so I would need to see what gimmick gets introduced that justifies having a new Mario Kart, because I just think 8 is that good. It's so perfect. The Switch 2 one, yeah, the clip looks fine, but it didn't really show anything except for the new Donkey Kong design. This thing about choosing engines always give me analysis paralysis. Well, that's why I always say that it doesn't matter, because you can look up the list of games made with all these engines, and there's plenty of examples in all of them. You can choose Unity or Godot or Construct or GameMaker or Love2D or Monogame. You look at any of those, there's going to be a big list of games, commercial games, that were released and successful with that engine. And since that's the case, it doesn't matter which one you choose, because they all have the ability to make good games. So if you're having analysis paralysis, I feel that, because there are a lot of options to choose from. But the other thing is that you're not married to any option you choose. If you choose Godot, you can use Godot for a year and then switch to Unity later. There's nothing illegal about that. In fact, all the skills that you learn from Godot, you're still going to be able to transfer a lot of that information. Even though Godot is different from Unity, and the way you develop the way you develop in both of those is different. Game development is still game development, and you'll be able to transfer a lot of these skills. You're still coding, you're still learning design and art and animations and all these things. So, like, don't get hung up on the analysis paralysis too much, because you're always able to switch later. Do you have any advice for pathfinding in Love2D? Not exactly. The way I do pathfinding is a little bit hacky, because I use the what is it? I need to actually start the tile states. This is going to be the last thing I show, and then I'm going to be done with stream for today, because it's actually past when I normally finish. Tile states. So the way that the pathfinding works is it uses this tile states thing that I made. And if I run, we should be able to see the dots, which actually I showed this earlier in the stream. But this is how pathfinding is done, is whenever you're in a fight, all of the enemies on screen, they're going to be analyzing these different dots. All of the orange dots represent somewhere that is visible to the player, meaning it's a good spot for the enemy to be. And then the purple dots mean that they're too far away or it doesn't have line of sight. So you can see when I stand on this side of the fireplace, none of these dots are lit up because the fireplace is blocking me. And when I walk around the fireplace, you can see that happen. But when I walk out in the open, everything around me is open. So this is one of the parts that makes pathfinding possible, is this whole system. What's my stream schedule? Every Monday at 11 a.m. CT. And that's when I'm going to be back next for the next stream. But yep, this is the end of stream for today. It's been a little over 2 hours, which is good. I'm really happy I was able to stream for so long. And thank you all so much for being here. It was a good one. It's a great stream. A lot of good folks in chat. Thank you for keeping me company and talking me through some of these problems. A few people actually caught some bugs and caught some suggestions for me that made things easier. So I really appreciate that. I will be back next week again for another Moonshire Monday stream, and I will see you all then. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.